Welcome to District Debrief. I'm your host, Devon Morales. After today, so many of our questions will be answered. Will America get picked up for another season? Will it be great again? Will there be a wall? Are we really stronger together? Who is Jill Stein? Where is Aleppo? Will we still feel the burn? And if we do we need to go get that checked? But most importantly, will the media go on? So much of this election cycle has been fueled not by the candidates, but by the media. And I mean, this is cutting-edge journalism, and there's more. Countless polls and studies have been released over the past few months about the differences between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans prefer buffalo chicken wraps to BLTs. Democrats like cats more than dogs. Republicans are more likely to tackle a DIY home project than Democrats, and Democrats are more likely to like Beyonce than Republicans, and so on. We decided to ask some GW students their thoughts on these polarizing topics.
My name is Tyson.
My name's Sydney Lake. Liza Sherman. Talia Valakursky.
I'm Casey Decker.
If I had to pick one, if I had to lean one way or another, I'd probably say Republican.
I'm a registered independent, but I usually tend to lean towards Republican perspectives. Democrat.
I'm an independent.
BLT.
Neither. Buffalo chicken wrap.
I don't know if I've ever had either of those things.
Mozzie sticks.
Guacamole.
Probably guacamole.
Definitely would go for it.
Probably not. No. Not.
I think so. Yeah, why not?
No.
Yes, I do. No.
No.
I do not.
Nope. I do.
I do.
Yes?
I would lean towards unhappy. I don't care about it.
I don't have no comment.
I don't know. I haven't. I'd say generally happy.
Cats.
Dogs.
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 I'd say 4.
She's awesome. For Beyonce.
She's pretty cool.
I'm pretty indifferent to Beyonce.
Definitely walking tour.
I think that's the beach.
Beach vacation.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with beach right now.
Once the election's over, what will anyone do with themselves? Between Twitter pulling the plug on Vine, RIP, and that baseball game being over, that was dismissive of me. We all saw Bill Murray last week. Good job, Cubs. This is their first championship win in 108 years. Now that's a long time to wait for something. It's not like women have waited 240 years to vote on their first big league female president or anything. Where was I? Oh, right. We have Thanksgiving and then Christmas, but there's nothing to really consume ourselves with anymore. Our writers had a really tough time coming up with anything. But we did some searching. The month of November is an extremely exciting time. There's November 15th, Clean Your Refrigerator Day, and November 17th, which is Cherish Homemade Bread Day, and November 23rd, Eat a Cranberry Day. I know we are all dying to celebrate Eat a Cranberry Day. I mean, am I right, guys? Well, if a certain candidate wins, I can't guarantee we'll have time to celebrate anything, since we'll be busy down south building a wall and getting paid in pesos. But if you are still trying to feed that massive hole in your heart that the election has left you, then there's one club on campus you want to know about. District Debrief got an exclusive look at one of their most divisive debates.
Hello and welcome to the first debate of the 2016 Bagel Club election. This is very important. As I'm graduating, we will be electing our new Bagel Club president. And today we'll hear our two worthy candidates, our current Secretary of Topping Affairs, Jamanda, and our current Treasurer, William. They will have 15 seconds for opening statements. Everyone just please remember to keep it down during the debate. Thank you. You may proceed, candidates.
Well, hello everyone. Well, I've been the Bagel Club secretary for a year now, so I have a lot of experience with bagel terminology. I'm just very excited to spread the love for bagels with all of you.
A bagel, also spelled B-E-I-G-E-L, is a bread product originating in the Jewish communities of Poland. It is traditionally shaped by hand into the form of a ring using yeasted wheat dough, roughly hand-sized.
I'm sorry, did you just memorize the bagel Wikipedia page?
No, that was an amazing, entirely original definition that I created with my own genius, bagel-oriented mind.
Well, that's what it says, so. Now, please tell us why you would each like to be president of the Bagel Club.
I feel like I have the experience necessary to take this club to the next level, which should be schmear, specifically turmeric mustard seed butter.
And you, William?
I am really passionate about bagel bites.
Objection, not real bagels. I'm sorry.
I'm accepting of all bagels, no matter their shape, size, or topping. This is just another example of how the liberal bagel media has tried to twist this election against me and against the Bagel Club itself.
What ideas do you each have on ways to make Bagel Club better?
What we need to do is give bagels to everybody. We should not be giving bagels just to the people at the top.
You know what? There are no bagels in China. There are no bagels in Mexico. What we need to do is build a wall out of bagels.
Objection, again, waste of bagels.
Wrong.
Now, Jamanda, you're under some fire due to deleted emails regarding bagel secrets. Could you address that, please?
And I regret that. But what we need to talk about is the fact that William hasn't been paying taxes on any of his bagels for the last 20 years.
William, the polls show you are lagging. Will you accept the outcome of this bagel election?
I'm winning this election.
Let's get a fact check on that, please. Thank you. And now we will have time for closing statements. You each have 5 seconds. Go ahead.
I love bagels. I love this club. And I'm your only option.
Donuts are better than bagels. All.
Thank you all for joining us. I'm Anderson Cooper. Good night.
That Jamanda has wonderful complexion. I wonder who does her hair. God, I didn't even realize that the Bagel Club has such a presence on campus. I mean, we're the most politically active school in the country, but are you serious? I have some breaking news! District Debrief has learned that the FBI Director James Comey has just announced to Congress that he's going to reopen the Clinton investigation. That's it for Clinton. It's over. It's canceled. The first female candidate of a major party is going to lose. Women lose. No more presidents for women. They waited 240 years. Just like that, it's gone. This is a lot for us to debrief. We'll cut to commercial to allow us to get our act together. Stay tuned.
Raise high, This isn't just our battle cry. It's our call, our challenge. Because when you are called to Washington, you are called to higher expectations, to a higher standard. We are called here to advance knowledge, to serve society, to change the world. This is the George Washington University, and what we make is history. So stand up, be bold, take risks, press on, push harder, raise high.
Welcome back. It appears we encountered a little bit of danger. Carlos, danger! Our Delta Level 5 freakout has caused me to experience some severe whiplash. It appears that these new classified smoking gun body blow to the end of the Clinton campaign emails were not sent by Hillary Clinton or sent through her server. Instead, they belong to Huma Abedin. These new emails were found during a separate investigation into her estranged husband, former Congressman Anthony Weiner. Weiner, who has a knack for doing things that live up to his last name, is under investigation for sexting a minor. Ugh, this is ridiculous. We're talking about the man's inability to control his sexual urges. Again.
I'm here today to again apologize for the personal mistakes I have made and the embarrassment I have caused. I make this apology to my neighbors and my constituents, but I make it particularly to my wife, Huma.
Over the last 5 years, Weiner's misconduct has been in the spotlight. However, the Trump campaign cannot throw stones when Trump himself is known for his own inappropriate behavior. Trying to blame Weiner's behavior on Huma, and by proxy on Hillary Clinton, is not helping Trump's argument because now I can make all the Weiner jokes I want. But I mean, this isn't the locker room. What even goes on in the locker room?
This is what it is. Why did you call it locker room talk?
Don't mischaracterize, if you mind. Don't mischaracterize what I'm saying. What I am saying is that that kind of banter goes around all the time. Is it the right kind of thing to do? Absolutely not.
So you
is it something that I've ever done? Absolutely not. I've heard people talking like that. Of course. Are you kidding me?
Where are you
people
hanging
are
out?
always
And with whom are you hanging out that you hear people talking like that?
As I was growing up, people were always trying to talk about their sexual conquest and trying to make themselves appear, like the Don, Casanova. I'm surprised you haven't heard that. I really am.
I haven't heard it, and I know a lot of people who have not heard it. And I
well,
think
maybe
they
that's
were shocked.
maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the problem. People
the problem
have
is
not
that
heard
I haven't.
this. Maybe that's the.
Like, that could be true, Dr. Ben Carson, but I'm not so sold. So we went ahead and asked some GW club athletes what they talk about in their locker rooms.
In the locker room, I talk about what I'm gonna have for dinner that night.
In the locker room, I talk about how bad my teammates smell. In the locker room, I talk about ways to destroy the patriarchy and, men in general, like not voting for Donald Trump on Tuesday.
A typical locker room conversation is who has extra socks.
Since it's almost halfway through the first semester, a lot of people have been talking about their class schedule for next semester, so they'll discuss like what teachers they want or what classes they want to take.
Tuition is too much. Tuition is too much for cold showers. Cold showers. There's no conditioner in my hair and in my ear.
Oh, really cool. Shower.
Dude, are you guys ready for practice again?
We also came up with our own list of new topics to discuss in the locker room. As we all know, the now infamous Access Hollywood video starring Donald Trump is now synonymous with locker room talk. And yes, it's funny to see how someone who ran for president that also supposedly knows things about brain surgery defines locker room talk. But this is actually a really serious issue. Last week, I spoke with Emily Harrison, a junior at GW who works at a domestic violence and sexual assault awareness nonprofit. For privacy reasons, we can't disclose the name of the organization. Emily told us all about how the locker room talk comments have affected the conversation surrounding sexual assault and the impact it has had on survivors.
So, tell me about the work that you do with the Sexual Assault Awareness nonprofit.
So I intern for a sexual assault awareness nonprofit here in the greater DC area, and I do work through them, mainly communications and social media work. What I do is find stories that represent our values and represent what we're trying to share with the public, just about educating on what rape culture is, its effects on society, and other big cases that are really picking up ground. And it's my job to write about why these stories are important and why people should read about it, as well as try to get it to be shared as much as possible. I also handle a lot of disclosures. So because we are mainly social media based, it's so much easier for people to come out and tell us their stories. And so we do receive a lot of messages or just even tweets about survivors' experiences. And so we kind of handle that and try to help them find the resources that they need, or if they don't want resources, just to listen to them and communicate with them about that.
With the locker room talk tapes of Donald Trump being released during an Access Hollywood interview, how does that affect your work?
After the locker room talk tapes from Donald Trump came out, RAIN really featured a great increase in the amount of people calling into their calling network. It was a 33% increase after the second presidential debate for about a 48-hour span. On average, they have about 4 to 5 people in a constant queue waiting to speak to an operator. During this time, they had 40 to 50 people at their highest traffic hours. The talks are really bringing up memories for people. There's just an article that just came out on Psychology Today talking about this. It's a lot of memory retrieval because of these talks for a lot of survivors, and not even direct survivors, but secondhand survivors. People who were disclosed to from a close person in their life who are now feeling the effects of that. And they're coming forward and trying to find resources or find help because it's now being brought into a national conversation.
Do you think that these tapes will have a long-term effect after the election?
I definitely think this is going to have a long-term effect beyond the election. It's going to be both positive and negative. On the positive end, it's really bringing this conversation of sexual assault and rape culture to a national level. The conversation is out there. It's being talked about on mainstream media, on Twitter, on social media in general. And that's really great that this conversation is happening, and hopefully we can move forward as a culture. On the negative side of that, it is causing a lot of PTSD reactions for a lot of survivors. Because of this great increase in people disclosing, a lot of that wasn't, people weren't necessarily ready at that moment in time, but because of the talks being, the locker room talks and all this talk about sexual assault happening all the time on media and social media, people were forced to come forward because of the great traumatic response that they were feeling and all the emotions that were coming through with that. So yes, it's great that this is becoming a national conversation, but at the same time, many survivors aren't making the choice on their own. They're almost being forced to because of this constant exposure to a very sensitive topic in such an insensitive way.
Talk about the effects of PTSD on sexual assault victims.
Definitely. So sexual assault survivors do have a higher rate of PTSD than active military veterans who have been in combat. And that's mainly because this is such a traumatic event that really integrates in itself, and especially because of the lack of acknowledgement from society about how troubling this issue is. Only 5% of survivors come forward, and only 2% of those survivors come forward to law enforcement. And so a lot of times nothing really happens, and a lot of survivors don't feel that they are receiving justice, and that just manifests itself on top of the traumatic experience itself. So this PTSD can come through in many ways. A lot of times it's just being triggered by things that many people won't think about being triggered by. Donald Trump has actually become a trigger warning in professional writing now because of his comments and his remarks and the emotions that have been triggered by his statements. And so that's really one of the main things that comes with being a survivor with PTSD, is never knowing what's going to set you off, especially as this conversation is becoming so national.
The phone numbers for both the Network for Victim Recovery and the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network are at the bottom of your screen and will be at the end of the episode. If you need someone to talk to, please give them a call. We'll be right back.
It's on us
to stand up to those who tell us it's not our business.
to tell our friends if what they're doing is wrong. It's on us
to do something, anything, to keep an assault from happening.
To be more than a bystander.
To create an environment where women feel and are safe.
It's on us
to change the way we talk about women.
To be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
It's on us
to say something when our friends are being stupid.
To hold our friends accountable for their actions.
It's on us
to look out for someone who's had too much to drink.
To step in if a friend is doing something that could lead to sexual assault.
It's on us
to not give our friends a pass.
To never blame the victim.
To stop a sexual assault any way we can.
I am a member of the George Washington University community, and it's on us to end sexual violence.
Welcome back. GW's production of Speech and Debate, a play by Stephen Karam, was performed last month in Bent's Theater. One of our correspondents, Hannah Sessler, caught up with Elizabeth Kitsos-Kang, the GW theater professor who directed the play, to ask her about the process of putting on a main stage production.
Thanks, Devon. I'm here with Professor Elizabeth Kitsos-Kang, who directed Speech and Debate, which just finished its run at GW. Elizabeth, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So, what about the script drew you to Speech and Debate?
I loved the characters. I loved the issues that they were addressing in the play. I think a lot of young people can identify with battles with parents as teenagers, battles with sexual identity and orientation, hopes for the future and feeling like people aren't supporting them. And these were kind of like three lost souls who were very unlikely to find each other but somehow did and were able to lift each other up, and I loved that idea of it.
So as the director, what was your biggest challenge in getting the actors where they needed to be?
They were all very hard workers, which is great. And when I cast, I try to really cast people I know I can get a lot of a strong work ethic from. But I watched them very hard. We met 5-6 times a week for 5 weeks. For a 4-character play, that's a little excessive. But I really wanted to delve deep into their characters.
When you cast, do you typecast, as they say? Do you cast somebody that's very similar to the character, so they don't have a long way to go? Or do you cast somebody that you know has the potential to be there, but takes longer?
I don't really typecast. I don't cast people based on type. The girl Anna, who played Dewada, is nothing like Dewada at all. At all. But she really had to push herself to get into the world of this sort of eccentric girl without playing her as crazy or wacko or whatever. She really wanted to own that spirit. And I think the same is true for Solomon and Howie. Those two actors are wonderful actors, but they had to go outside their comfort zones a lot, and I really like to push actors to do that. I also like to cast people who haven't worked on the main stage.
Okay, we talked about your biggest challenge as a director, but what do you think was the biggest challenge that you posed to the actors?
I ran a tight ship, but I also enjoyed laughing and playing and stuff when we had our breaks. I think that was challenging for some of them because they'd never been, Anna had never been on the main stage. Will and Jordan had, but every director is different. There were more relaxed rehearsal processes. I think we all in the department, all the professors, try to run our rehearsals the way they would be in the real world, so that when our actors leave, they're ready to take on that challenge. So it's a very strict process, but like fun but strict. Yeah.
So any rehearsal process for any show is very different. And this show in particular, the cast is so small, it's only 4 people. Do you think that that dynamic helped enhance the performances in any way?
I don't always get that much time. If I have a larger cast, like an 8 to 10 to 12 to 16 person cast, of course I'm doing a lot of staging and we're talking about character, but we don't get to work those little moments as much. And I really got a lot of moment-to-moment work with these guys, which was awesome.
This show tackles a lot of very controversial issues: teen pregnancy, sexual assault, abortion. Did you want to convey a certain message through the show, or did you want to kind of let it speak for itself?
I wanted the message to be hopeful, because all 3 of them were struggling with some pretty serious things, like you said. And, you know, being a teenager and getting an abortion, or being sexually assaulted, or moving to a town that's really conservative when you're gay and you lived in this really cool cosmopolitan city where people just accepted you, or not being able to come out of the closet because you have a religious family. I think that there are a lot of people who can relate to those things, and I really wanted people to leave the theater feeling hopeful that people struggling with even some of the darkest experiences could find a connection with someone and feel like they belong.
And finally, why do you continue to come back to GW every year?
I want to inspire kids to go do what they love, and GW, I've been here 22 years, so it feels like a really safe place for me to spread my wings and, try to make a difference in people's lives.
Alrighty, awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you for having me.
That's it for me. Check us out at District Debrief on Facebook. But don't make any mean comments. Cyberbullying is a serious topic, and Melania Trump says she is going to put an end to it. Until next year, I'm Devon Morales. Also, I want to take this time to give a special shout out to our executive producer, Annabelle, who's the neck brace to this show. Have fun abroad. Thanks for watching. Stay woke.